So I'm going to present the atmospheric research services of NEANIAS. Dr. Packer, who had the honor to be present today, is the professor of the who led the school of export information of the project. The goal of this is to develop and relate to EOS three innovative cross-cutting atmospheric services. The purpose is to allow tackling operationally atmospheric related studies and engineering tasks towards engaging several of the communities. We give some examples here, but there are more meteorologists and micrometeorologists, as I will do in the project. Industrial air pollutant meters, ecologists, rural urban planners, and air quality authorities, civil protection, insurance, health services. What are the services that I'm going to present to you? Three basic classes. The first one is called AtmoFlat, and it's about monitoring greenhouse gases flux density. The second one is basically a set of two services. The first one, Atmostress, is for monitoring components in active tectonic regions. And the second one is about correlating atmospheric fluctuations with seismic activity. The final one, the third one, is called Atmoforecast, and it's about air quality estimation, monitoring, and forecasting. During the course of the project, we have gathered the requirements initially, we update them on the way, we publish them. We produce the software for all three services, we deploy it operationally, and also publish all the services at EOS for public consumption. We went through three validation rounds, successful ones, and we are still ongoing validations, that's why we're here today. And all above results have been reported to the corresponding project environment. So the first one of the service is called AtmoFlat. It's about calculating flux densities of momentum, energy, and scalars, such as CO2, using two methods, eddy covariance and gradient curve. It started with existing proven algorithms that were already published in the peer-reviewed literature, and they were implemented already in MATLAB. During the course of NEANIAS, we arrived at the TRL-8 service, web service that has a user-friendly UI, a REST API, undergoes continuous deployment, automated testing, and is integrated with all the needed services to be present at EOS. What does this service do? It takes as input data from sensors coming from flux towers. So, depending on the algorithm used, this is either fast data, 10 Hz, used as input to the eddy covariance, or slow data, 1 Hz, but from at least 4 different heights, used as input to the gradient method. That's why we have the two different algorithms. Data is analyzed and cleaned as part of the algorithm before producing the results. And the output is a series of graphs with data analysis and fluxes, a text file with the results, and a PDF report ready to be published. So, example applications of this service. Why would we use this service? You could use it for scientific applications such as climate change research and oceanography, regulatory applications such as landfill monitoring and municipal emissions monitoring, and for commercial applications such as leak detection, agricultural carbon sequestration, irrigation, and efficient water use. And we're going to see an example now that comes from a different project. It's called Agro4Glass. It's a different project that runs in Greece, and it's reusing this service towards carbon footprint estimation for vineyard farmers. What it does is that it uses flux towers to collect micrometeorological data and CO2 concentration. The data from the tower is fed directly to the AtmoFlat service, and the service produces average CO2 flux density for the complete field, helping estimate the carbon absorption by the plants. So, besides, and with further processing, we produce an estimation of the carbon footprint per bottle of produced wine. What's the difference? What's the assistance of this service? This service allows us to not only measure the expended CO2, how much we consume to produce something, but also how much the plants absorb, so that we can count the positives besides the negatives. An example of the services output is this graph, where we see per hour the flux density of CO2 for a single day on the 30th of April this year, which was running on the Agro 4 Plus project. That's real data. Moving on to the second service, the second set of services. The purpose is to monitor atmospheric perturbations and control synaptic tectonic regions by two approaches: computing regional stress field of a study area using the Atmos stress service based on a published paper. And the second one is about correlating gas emissions with earthquakes and atmospheric conditions with the Atmos seismic service, basically focusing on rainfall, but also being able to study other gases as well. Both services are integrated with the essential core services so that it's operational at use. Now, the service operation of the Atmos stress service, it expects input files provided by the user about the coordinates, latitude and longitude, the azimuth or direction of the stress, the error evaluated on stress calculation, and the reference coordinate system. It analyzes the input data, the service analyzes the input data and evaluates the parameters and produces as output a trajectory map, a grid map, and both results are available in multiple formats, either static images or images being able to be overlaid on a map, or text files. So, example use cases of the Atmos stress service. We can use this service in both tectonic and volcanic areas to calculate and reconstruct the stress field trajectories and to identify the most glacialized pathway of the magma and or gaseous components, thus for the volcanic case. Knowing the stress field of a specific area can be very useful, for example, in the oil and gas petroleum industry, so determining whether hydrocarbon displacement can generate seismic activity, and in the geothermal industries to define presence and positions of ground discontinuities that allow geothermal fluids to rise to the surface. And now moving on to the third service, which is about air quality estimation, monitoring and forecasting. This is called the Atmos Forecast Service. It is composed of three different modules, one for weather, one for emissions, and one for air quality. The last module, the air quality one, is built as an air quality system. It started at TRL 6, being based on different core models, Austral 2000, Q-Traffic, and WRF. They are all published in the literature. The Q-Traffic model is it's one of the first services to use it. It comes from the University of Aveiro. And we arrived at, during the course of the project, we arrived at the TRL 8 web service with user-friendly UI, REST API, and integration with NEANIAS for services, and also published at use. How does the service work? Input files are provided by the user for each module. For the weather, the user provides global meteorological data and configuration file. For the emissions, the traffic fleet and activity data. And for the air quality, both local traffic and background concentrations and local weather. Data is analyzed and adopted for each core model, and the outputs are 2D maps generated in different formats and visualized on a web page. We're going to see an example and we can understand better now. So this is a use case that came during the NEANIAS project as a business case. It's about estimating the air quality of a specific city called Stavanger that is in Norway. The domain area is 11 square kilometers, and the spatial resolution is 50 meters. One of the good aspects of this service, it allows the user to go to fine resolutions, not kilometers but meters. The simulation runs only for a few minutes. The input is local traffic emissions based on real traffic counting that was available in Stavanger City, using cameras, I think. Local weather obtained from local forecasts. and vicinity contributions, also known as background concentrations, that came from Copernicus via the Adam API. The Adam API is another core service of the NEANIAS system. The good thing that it has, it allows you to get access to Copernicus data in a more friendly manner. So the outputs are two-dimensional heat maps generated for every single hour in different formats and visualized on a web page. What we see here is an example where the blue parts, the blue dots are low concentration regions, whereas the red dots are high particle concentration regions that we consider as more dangerous. And that's the service produces one such image for each hour of the next 24 hours. That's the idea. So you get traffic data, you get a weather forecast, and background concentrations of pollutants that are there already. And the service estimates what it's going to be like in the next 24 hours per hour and gives you a visual output. And these are the atmospheric services of the NEANIAS project that are all available, operational, and published at the ocean as we speak. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I am spooked. I am spooked from who is asking. Spooked squared.
Okay, on the right hand side is PM.
Yes.
Particulate matter.
Yes.
Which type?
2.5.
Ah.
It's a 2.5.
That's correct. 2.5.
It says 2.5.
It says 2.5.
It says 2.5.
On the top.
On the top, yeah.
On the side, yeah. Okay.
Nico, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I'm very glad to be back here for another presentation and I can see all the progress and improvements. For the non-experts like myself, especially in this part of the business, what is the major achievements since last time we were here in June and presented this software? Just to understand what the progress is, especially in those three aspects.
Since June, I don't think we have a lot of stuff, good stuff, because things were mostly stable. I think speed improvements or something like that. I think the simulation was faster than the implementation. Otherwise, I think this, especially this use case is stable and short.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
There is an improvement.
Which one? Please shoot.
There is an improvement based on the users.
We have a lot more validations. A lot more validations.
No, I said what is the major improvement?
He's talking about the meat of
Yes.
it.
Yeah, but look at the testing and assessment plan from the users make our services better. In terms of the evaluation and assessment, we will also provide the evaluation forms, and the comments that we got already make us, and we have some extra perspectives and thoughts to become better in terms of the liaison.
We also have a lot of use cases that came. We made a couple of open calls during the project, and now we are happily talking with the winners of the open calls how to use the service, and we see a lot of interest and a lot of potential for some of these.
Can you also make another comment? I had a very recent discussion with Professor Otsumanis this morning regarding PM 2.5.
We always have interest in discussion.
Yeah, that was my first ingredient, so I had to really also express my opinion on this line. Regarding PM 2.5, this is really important because we can hear it and we can have all kind of those to do with the state of your lungs and everything. And the case of Athens, which is a really loaded, it's a polluted city. We don't have any to hide anything from ourselves. How easy is to implement such a model here, or the service here, or what do you think we should be done towards some kind of
I think we should be. This is something basically that already one of our open call winners worked on, who is also here, Panos Koliopoulos here, who's leading this case. He studied about how to bring all this in Athens. The first major obstacle is going to be to actually measure the traffic in a consistent manner. There are many models that are too high level. We need more level of detail. for example, the Q traffic model says, okay, give me the number of trucks, give me fuel type, give me how many are diesel, gasoline, electric, and we don't have it. So we need to measure stuff better. As for whether we're doing okay, I think whether we are fine with it. I think Copernicus also has background concentration for Athens. So I think, I don't know how accurate that is, I cannot be accurate of that.
Not at all.
Sorry?
Not at all.
Not at all. I am afraid of that because these models, I see them as too high level. And you need to abstract. So at the end of the day, we're going to get the result. I don't know how accurate it is.
Yeah, this is one of the parts of our discussion because I think one of the missing parts from all models in atmospheric models is they just ignore heavy metals. They tend to ignore heavy metals. That's not really completely disastrous here. But I think we have, from my point of view, from my experience in the minimum, there is some heavy metals. We have very, very, very few measurements available. Not only in Athens, in Europe, in other places.
Exactly.
So, sure, yeah, this is something just to emphasize the importance.
PM 2.5 is not a single pollutant.
Yes, I know that. I understand.
Okay, so it's not. There are many pollutants inside all aerosol that has diameter less than 2.5. Okay. The only way of looking at it correctly is collecting it on a petri dish that has an imitation of the lines and see how damage does it do to the imitation of the fluid of the lines. And then, of course, that's the only way to look how harmful PM2.5 is. But then we can make campaigns about collecting aerosol from filters and analyzing for heavy metals, for organic compounds, and so on and so forth, and find the origin of this aerosol. We have a PhD, and we did this back in 2004 for the organic fraction to see where it comes from. Okay, and we did also for the organic fraction, but not all heavy metals. It's a huge task.
Yes, I understand.
It cannot be done online.
But if you need accurate models, you need accurate data, or at least data.
Okay,
Exactly.
garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. That's what my fear. Pano, would you like to add something about this? Okay. And I think
maybe a comment from Sofia. Sofia, since she's present here, Sofia Presan from Univip, responsible for, together with all the partners of Univip, for Atmos Stress and Atmosil. Any comment from your experience in NEANIAS, from your services development and elaboration? No. Okay.
That's Stavanger in Norway, the port of Stavanger. So it has influence from the sea.
Exactly. Exactly. And they found local weather information, so they didn't need to do any analysis of their own. So they had traffic data from them, they had weather from them, background concentration from Copernicus, for whatever accuracy it provides, and then they run the model and produce the area. I hopefully Noella is present remotely, and hopefully Noella, I represented your service in a decent manner. Anyway, that's it for the NEANIAS atmospheric services. I think it's safe now to move to the space services. We have audience for you, Eva, here.